Your family, they've had a rough weekend, and we ask that you bless and guide them and help them in any way that they need. I ask that you be with those first responders as they continue to help and protect us. And I ask you to be with all those that are dealing firsthand with this COVID. And I ask you to bring that COVID to a quick close. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
Indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, at this time, any person with business before the court not scheduled on the agenda may speak to the court. No formal action can be taken on these items at this meeting. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes. Okay. Court to consider action be taken on old business. Continuing, or renewing the declaration of disaster for Scurry County executed on March 16, 2020 for a period of no more than 30 days pursuant to Texas Government Code 418.108. I still think that as long as we're in the pandemic, and there's a national and a state declaration, that we should continue it. That's just my personal opinion. Whatever y'all thoughts on it.
I agree, as long as there's an opportunity to make sure that our community receives the funds that they should receive, and there's not a wrench of any kind that would get into the works to keep us from doing that because we didn't do something, even though the state's saying and people are understanding that you don't have to. We've been doing it. It doesn't cost anything to continue it. I don't like what's going on, but this has nothing to do with what's going on. It's about getting reimbursed from the federal funds that are there and appropriated for this county as it is for all the other counties that are part of it in Texas. Sure. And so I make a motion that we continue that disaster declaration.
Okay. Is there a second? All right. All in favor? Nay? Okay. Court to discuss and consider approval of a resolution amending Article 7 to the Articles of Incorporation of the Scurry County Local Government Corporation. So we made changes, but we didn't do a resolution, and that's basically what
this is just formalizing what was already done.
Okay.
Yeah, whenever we made that, sent that into the Secretary of State, they sent it back and said you need the resolution.
Okay, all right, and that came through us. This came through us through Jim Allison. He's looked it over, everything.
No, you go first.
Well, there hasn't been an opportunity yet that has come in any big way that we certainly believed was at a time that there would be shortly. Almost was done. A little wrench got in the works and it caused a big failure. But that doesn't mean, I mean, we paid for it. It's already paid for. It's not costing us anything. There is some concern within the community, as Craig has stated in previous court meetings. The thing is, it is difficult to understand for those that have been in it, let alone those that have not been in it, as far as understanding all the way this thing came to fruition and what the possibilities are. And if it ever happens, and that's an if, this is brand new territory. If it ever happens, there is no liability whatsoever to the community, to the sport, because
That's the purpose of the LGC.
it's within its own nutshell. And so for us to throw away something that isn't bringing benefit right now and hadn't in the last 6 years, doesn't mean tomorrow won't be there for us to benefit from it and without taxpayers' money being spent. And so I have to say, and that we definitely need to provide what we can for these guys to be able to continue at no cost to the community, county, or liability. And I'll listen to.
Well, my only thought in it is, and I don't know that there'd be any reason the man couldn't have 15 on the board. But I'm wondering, what if you haven't got, and maybe you have, and I just haven't been paying attention, slap me. You've gotta have somebody, as far as I can figure, you can't just sit there and hope somebody walks in the door bringing you a ton of business. That ain't the way it happens. So I don't know that it's costing Scurry County a thing to have it there. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm not saying, if you're gonna do something, do it right. Now, when I come in here, I wasn't up to date on that thing. I knew of it. If you lived in this county, you lived because that's the one reason the rollback, one of the reasons the rollback, there was other reasons, come along. And I'm not for stirring a pot. So we need to come out with more to the public of what we're trying to do. And why we're having to put more on there or whatever. I mean, there's gotta be a reason for something. There's gotta be a reason for everything.
I'm gonna let Dr. Bland speak to that for a minute, because I know they, yeah, because y'all have been working
No,
on
yes,
some
we
things.
actually-
It's not just been idle in all this time, but let me say
I
something
do want to
first.
say though, I want to totally agree. If you do something, I believe you do something, you do it right.
Yeah.
I'm 100% with that. I think where the position we are with it is that right now there's no revenue setting there, that if it ever does turn into the revenue producer that it potentially can, at that point, yeah, I think the county, the LGC is gonna have to talk about whether it's a director or somebody that's all that they do. I had long conversations because I came into this after it was already going too. I learned a lot that it was very popular, popular discussion anyway. But after having a long conversation with Mr. Allison, he really believes that there's a real opportunity here. I mean, he was just here, oh Lord, 3 months ago, reviewing to making sure that the attorney, that's what he does, is represent counties, cities, LGCs. And he just said that I think there's a unique opportunity here that I'm really surprised that somebody hadn't taken advantage of to this point. And it may or may not come to fruition. If it does, it may not be long-lived. But there is an opportunity to generate some revenue for the county and the other taxing entities at zero liability to the taxpayer. And that's the part that I kept going back to, is that's the purpose of the LGC, is it insulates the local taxpayers from any liabilities on it. And so even if it falls completely on its face, there's no liability. If just the LGC would have to fold up and go away. I'm the first to tell you, I didn't like signing that confidentiality agreement or whatever they call it. But that was part of the process of doing the business. And sometimes you have to say, okay, I'll swallow my pride.
Well, everything's got rules. That's not my problem.
Yeah.
My problem is the lady, which I think a lot of at the hospital, there's no more of a gung-ho person in the world. Just like a bulldog. And, it for some reason, it did not work there. And, it's,
I'm not sure I'm following. I mean, she's still on the board and,
well,
Yeah.
that's fine,
Yeah.
but she was, in my part, I was the one in the court that day because she was so gung ho that I said, give it to them. Well, it turned into a blank,
You may not.
I don't know, like I say, I don't know that it's costing a doggone thing. I don't know whether y'all own the building, Scurry County owns the building, who owns the building? Whether it's been paying rent, or there what?
there's not a building.
Well, you're
Yeah,
sitting
no.
over in some building right over there, ain't you?
Uh-uh.
That's the
No.
DCOS.
Well, you still going over there? Did they not charge you anything for going over or anything like that?
We don't do anything with the DCOS.
Right. No, it's
Don't take your
completely
way, you don't
separate.
know more than I do.
It's
Now,
completely separate. The DCOS and the
I
LGC.
realized it was, but I thought that's where y'all was going over to meet.
Mm-mm.
No,
So
when we
y'all, I
meet, we
haven't
meet
been
right
in
here.
any of the LGC meetings.
I think it's. Is
Yeah,
it
when we meet, we meet
It's-
right
they
here.
meet
Usually
right here.
Right here.
Oh,
Yes,
wait,
sir.
okay.
I think we had a scheduling conflict on the last meeting and y'all had
Yeah,
to
we
meet
met out at
somewhere
the
else.
hospital once because there
Yeah.
was already something scheduled here. There was a scheduling conflict with this room.
Well, my deal, again, it goes back to there was supposed to be some kind of rule. There was supposed to be a rule unless my P-man didn't understand it. That this lady right here had to be at every meeting. And that didn't come from her, that come from that man that sits up yonder that knows all the rules and regulations. And she had a hard time, matter of fact, I don't know if she has ever made but one, have you?
I haven't made any since it's left.
I thought you made one right before they left out of here.
In here, that's only, I haven't been notified of any
And,
others.
and that's the rule, because that's the kind of deal that Scurry County come up with. Now, then, I'm getting that from her, and I
If that,
pretend that she knows what she's talking about.
if that's in there, y'all want to invite her to the meeting.
Oh, absolutely. I'm totally unaware of that. I mean, that's not anything that it ever,
Well, don't get
I'm not.
don't get all upset because I'm unaware of a lot of things.
Oh, I'm not upset. I
Uh,
promise.
but,
You'll know if I'm upset.
Uh,
I don't hide it well.
if there's a way that it's supposed to be done, which
Sure.
I didn't like the thing, I thought really we had killed it whenever we give it to the,
Nobody ever, I don't know, nobody ever shared that with us. In fact, it's open. Anybody can come. We post it. Yeah.
We
Well-
haven't had but that one meeting that I'm aware of.
No, we haven't since that one. And that's because Mr. Allison was able to come through and
Right.
was reviewing the documents with us.
well, I'm not gonna stomp and raise heck and
It's okay.
like I'd like to, if, even though I don't know what good just sitting around the table is gonna do. If you're gonna try to find business, you get out and hunt for business.
I'm not sure we're on the
And
same.
maybe I don't know what you're trying to do, right?
No,
But whether you do that way or not, it's in the deal that she's supposed to be there.
we can verify that.
It was at the meeting when y'all voted to make the board different. You weren't here. It was still when Ricky was still here.
Okay.
One of the stipulations, because it is still under the county, even though it's not a
Mhm.
county entity,
County
that
has
I
oversight.
have to have oversight over it.
And we should have a representative like our auditor, Dean, for sure.
Oh, that's fine. Absolutely.
I'm gonna call you out on one thing.
Go ahead.
You said you don't like to stir pots.
I'd like to know what's in the pot before I stir it.
I agree. I'm not just kidding. Yeah, it takes more than that to stir my pot.
Yeah.
I'm,
Well, I'd like to say, I thought we was done with this thing when it was given
We,
to to the hospital.
We will
and
always
she
have-
was gung ho about it,
Right.
and she was gonna get all of the others that was in on it, and they
Right.
was gonna do something with it, and then it would be a wonderful, wonderful deal.
We don't have active participation in it, but we still have oversight because it's under.
Well,
county.
yeah, that's the reason I knew that she was supposed to be there.
Right.
Because undoubtedly, if he said be there, there's certain rules that's gotta be followed.
Sure.
Oh, who's he?
Judge
Judge
Armstrong.
Armstrong.
Okay.
Is there a set of bylaws that,
Mhm.
and are they public?
Yes.
They should be if they're not.
No, they are, as far as I know. I mean,
I've read a little bit about.
Would
this.
they be in our minutes from when it was originated?
Several
Would it be in the
years.
minutes from when it was originated?
Probably
During the
so.
court minutes, you can go to the county clerk anytime you want,
And look at.
and look at the bylaws. Oh, absolutely. Yes, sir. Some people have. Yes, sir.
I think Jim Allison also recommended that Angela be at all meetings and continue
Maybe.
oversight.
Yeah. Yeah, I know we did it in court.
Yeah, it was in court.
Judge
And so-
Armstrong and Jim Allison are the only reason I was on it in the first place.
Exactly.
And I didn't want to ever be on it, ever.
I know.
And but they're the only reason why I'm still supposed to have oversight.
well, we kind of inherited it and everybody that was on the board left.
Yeah.
And so,
You're stuck with what is this and.
yeah, and so if if that's in place, that,
Sorry,
we never didn't do it because,
Yeah.
I think you need to be there.
Well, being there and being on it is two different things.
Well,
I don't want to be on the board.
well,
I don't want to
on
be
it,
part of that board.
on it, wearing it, running with it,
Yes.
walking with it. I don't care, you need to be there. Cause that's what he
Yes,
said. And you told me he had the last word.
he does have the last word for
Okay,
my
that's all
office.
stupid then.
That
With
is
her.
Well, okay.
Judge, if you want a motion,
Sure.
I would make a motion that we approve the resolution or renewing the declaration of disaster for Scurry County. I'm sorry. I'm not on the right page. Approval of the.
don't make us a
resolution.
disaster yet.
I'm sorry. I'm stirred up.
Well, I didn't mean to get you started.
No, I'm fine. I'm just joking with you. Approval of resolution amending Article 7 to the Articles of Incorporation of Scurry County Local Government Corporation. There we are. I'm human.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? All right.
Just, all that amendment did was change the term of the officers from 1 year to 3 years. That's it.
Okay.
That's all that amendment just made.
Okay. And we just needed to have a resolution.
And
for
so
it.
we
And you asked
have,
about bylaws. The bylaw said it was a
4.
3-year term. And the incorporation document said it
I
was a
thought
1
you
year
were
term. So
putting
this
two
just lined
more
up.
on there.
they
I
already
better
had,
get out of here
yeah,
before I stir
they already
something
had
up.
6. They're just making it
That's
3
okay.
years
I carry a
long
spoon with
instead of
me
1
all
year
the
long.
time. It's huge.
So they can alternate
I
their
carry a stir
terms.
stick.
Not everybody drops
Thanks,
off.
Dr. Lynn. I'll swing these by your office.
That's fine. No
Alright.
problem. Thank you.
Thanks.
We'll have to run him off, didn't we?
Mom's getting better.
Good.
Good.
There's that. And there's the resolution.
Okay.
All right, court to discuss and consider revision to, well, let me jump down and get this other one out of the way. Court to discuss and consider a non-financial cooperative agreement with Workforce Solutions of Texas. You have a copy in your, packet. If you see anything that concerns you, none of us remember seeing this before, but, can understand why they're wanting to do it. I think it's, if people were working for us. Which wouldn't be a bad idea, really.
I've been to a lot of meetings, work for Workforce Solutions, Abilene, they do a great job to help everyone, in getting jobs and making sure that they're doing the appropriate things. I I've worked with them, with my guys that I may have had to, talk to them between us about, their employment. And they've been around a long time.
Sure, they have.
And so as long as our county attorney sees the agreement, to be, to be changed and written appropriately for Scurry County, if he sees that.
Okay.
Then I would, move that we adopt it and that and the agreement and allow you to sign it after the county attorney has been able to view it.
Okay.
And change anything that might need to be changed.
Is there a second?
Yeah. Second.
Any thoughts, Craig, on this? No? All right, all in favor? All right, now we'll go to the policy. Discuss and consider revisions to the policy manual. There it is. Our treasurer, Kirsten, and I have been looking at some of these things. She brought some concerns to the policy that need to be done fairly quickly, so that we can kind of get things back straight where they should be. There's some things that are being followed by an older policy than the newer policy. There's changes to the COVID policy we'd like to look at. We'll start with the COVID policy, coronavirus. When we put that coronavirus policy in place, we had no idea what was going on, where it was going. I mean, it was just, we had no clue. It was brand new, so we needed to figure that out. So you should have a copy there of what
Can I
Kirsten
get
and
copies of all that? I haven't received any.
think so. Sorry about that. So before it says, county employees that are 60 or plus that have chronic diseases, and the healthcare provider is directed you to request alternatives to current work locations shall be exempt from being at work. It's not voluntary. It's not mandatory, but it's voluntary. And then it goes into other things that were very liberal in the way things were done. And that was kind of what a lot of people were doing. A lot of places were doing. What we're looking at is the other page that looks like this. It says coronavirus. Doesn't have any- It should be the top one on your right.
Oh, okay.
Kirsty, you wanna kind of go over?
The proposed coronavirus policy matches or is similar to the flu policy. It's if an employee becomes ill with the coronavirus, they'll get a full 80 hours paid for their first time. If they need to quarantine or get it a second time, they will need to use their sick leave policy. This really came into effect as we've gone on longer. I feel like we need to have some stability in what our employees are expected to do. So this kind of outlines that in order to take any coronavirus leave, you'll need to bring a doctor's note with the diagnosis. Any questions about it or?
Is this would be without consideration of FLMA, without consideration of any vacation or sick until after the 2-week period?
They will still, the FMLA will come in, can start from day one
Okay.
of them being diagnosed with COVID. So they can run concurrently together. FMLA just guarantees their position for 12 weeks.
And so they've got that time, what I'm getting at is that time would be running out at the very beginning of that they self-quarantine.
On a yearly calendar schedule.
Yes.
So
Yes.
January 1, all
It-
FMLA
it
starts
changes
over.
it, Yes,
Um,
renews, resets.
Right, and FMLA just guarantees that your spot is there. It doesn't add any additional time, so like sick time or
Oh, no.
anything like
But it
that.
does.
Any day, extra days off, paid days
So-
off.
if they do run out of sick leave or vacation, whatever,
Yes.
it'll just be unpaid leave, but they'll still be an employee of Scurry County.
Unless that time has run out.
Correct.
Yeah.
Before the end of the year.
Yeah,
And then
well-
it reset January 1.
That's right.
I do feel a need, that we do a policy like this. We've had several department heads and elected officials ask for something like this, for their employees.
Well, as we know, 60 plus is the most in danger of losing their lives.
Mhm.
And the only thing I would add is that we make sure that it deals with the pandemic, epidemic, whatever might be in place. And you have COVID-19 here. And so there are many different kinds of coronaviruses.
True.
And so just being specific to
Well,
we
which
can-
one we're talking
we can
about.
title it-
COVID-19.
The new policy is just coronavirus.
Now that's,
And we can title it differently to where it was pandemic or
otherwise you could have a flu and get this.
Well, and we have a flu policy that's a week already, where
No,
the
this-
first time they get the flu,
this is
the
a,
county pays them for a week. This
Right,
is
because-
specifically for coronavirus.
Right, because with.
And that's all I want to be sure of.
Yeah.
That it relates to exactly what we're talking about. It's got the title of COVID, but it doesn't, in the.
I think that's the old
Okay,
policy.
and I don't have that one.
Do you not have this one?
No.
I'm sorry,
Thank you.
sorry. That.
Thank you.
We'll give you some time
That's-
to look over that, because it is different.
And I think it's needed because coronavirus does last 10 days
Right.
versus flu is the
3 to
5
5.
days. So
Yes.
I think it's necessary to separate the two.
Of course, we need to, I think we need a little time myself to really look over these till the next court meeting, if possible, and everybody agrees to be sure we understand what we're doing.
Sure.
And have some.
That's no problem. Yes, sir.
I've got a question, and it's probably gonna be a stupid one, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. If you got a hand that comes up and says, can I have a day off? And you say, well, yes, yeah, well, okay. Is the ideal that I give him a day off? Or if he's got money in the bank, so to speak, days that he could take off, he takes one of his own days.
Ideally, if he would use vacation leave.
Right.
That's what he's asking for, if he's taking a
Well,
day
that ain't
off,
the way he asked for it. You know,
then it's
Okay.
an unpaid day.
Sure, if they don't have any vacation time or any time to take off,
They have
It will be
compensatory
unpaid.
time. Some of his people have some compensatory time.
sure,
And that would be in the leave time.
Sure.
So if they have an accrued leave time, sick vacation or comp time, then it would be an unpaid day off. But
well, if
ideally,
he
he would
wasn't gonna
use,
get paid, I'm just thinking that he wouldn't wanna go.
well, then we have a very generous,
You
2
do,
weeks
then that's
vacation,
what
2
eats,
weeks sick leave.
eats somebody like me that's worked all his life, and you had to screw it out of him, to go to the doctor down there. And this
so I think you should,
this open door deal right here, I mean, it's not an open door, that's the wrong word to use, but it's, when you've got what I'm trying to say, if you've got 50 days, 40 days that you hadn't used up, and you just, you come along and say, well, can I have a day off Monday? Well, you say, well, yeah, I guess so, but why shouldn't he say, can I take one of my days?
Then that's your follow-up question.
Well,
Are you gonna use vacation?
That
comp time.
I
Or
didn't
comp
do it
time.
till then because, till I hadn't done it yet because of the fact I didn't know whether that was, I kinda like to know whether I'd be right or wrong. I don't act like an idiot sitting there. Cause I didn't ever, in the all field, you didn't do that.
I mean, he turns in a timesheet for you, and if he didn't
That's
work
right.
that day,
And I need to know whether it needs to come off of that or whether he takes one of his days.
And
or
that,
whether-
that can be something that, I don't know if they have it or not, but each department head or elected has a list of how much time each employee has left that is working under them, how
They
much
can-
vacation time or comp time they have.
Well,
we
you
have
can
several
always find-
departments
I
that,
guess we can, well, I don't
ask for
have that.
that.
Can I guess I could request that. Okay.
yeah, we have several that request that,
Yeah.
that I send, so if at any point in time you wanna know, please
Well,
ask.
I know that they had days there that they could use.
Mhm.
And what I'm trying to figure out is, well, you know, should they use their own day and say, yes, you can have a day off, you've got days coming. You got days built up.
Mhm.
You wanna take 1 or 2 days off, that's your deal.
Yeah,
Because if I say no, I get in trouble. So, but that's what I was trying to get from the horses. Well, you're not the horse. That's kind of just a bad
I'll be the
statement.
horse.
Yeah, you be the horse. Who's ever the horse? I'm just trying to get it out which way I need to go.
yes,
I-
as your elected official over your department, you do have the ability to ask if they have leave, what leave they're taking.
And if you know that they have the time and they're just asking if they can take a day off, I think you can overthink that as far as which question they should ask. Instead of, if you have the time, yeah, you can take the day off, you know. I would say as long as they ask for the day off and they have the time, no matter how they ask it, if they have the time and you want to let them off, that's up to you.
I knew that, but I didn't know whether they would take the time off if he had to take his own.
They have to. They have to take either vacation time or
That's what
comp
I'm
time.
asking.
because
If
there's
they
no
got
other-
it, they gotta take it.
Right, there's no other time that you can give them to take
Okay,
off.
okay, that answers my question
Okay.
right there.
Okay, good
Is
deal.
that correct, though?
Yes, sir.
I want to double check him.
I don't blame you. It's always good to double check me. Okay, we'll set that aside. We'll revisit that one on, that we're talking about the coronavirus. We'll revisit that one at our next meeting. The sick leave. It says in the policy that 8 hours are accrued each month following the first full calendar month. Where is it? Actually, we can bring that.
You have extra copies of that?
Yeah,
Oh, that's longevity. I don't know anything about sick leave.
I don't think there's copies of that one.
No, I
because
did make
all we're
copies.
asking-
I've got it.
Yeah.
I knew I made copies. There's for sick time and holidays.
I have it on my phone, but it is, okay, thank you.
So, it says following the first full calendar month of employment except temporary employees. It doesn't specify when exactly that's gonna come out, and what we were discussing was that, or not come out, but accrue.
So the issue here is just specifying that it'll be accrued the first day of the month. That's what our vacation policy says. For for new hires, so this just makes it the same.
More uniform.
Yeah,
with what we
exactly.
already have.
So if sick leave will be accrued the first day of the month,
So uniform.
Yeah. keep it easy.
I
and-
like
The other section would be, are y'all okay with that? Do y'all understand what we're going for there? Just, because right now it's just kind of random as to when
Yes.
we want to make it uniform. Holiday leave. Right now, employees can, in January, take any holiday any time of the year. So they could take 4th of July in January, they could take Christmas or November or Thanksgiving or any of those holidays that we give at the beginning of the year. I'm not crazy about that personally. I think you should take the holiday when you have the holiday. You have vacation time through the year, which we'll discuss next meeting. But I think holiday time, it's a holiday for a reason. You should take it on the holiday. And in the policy, which is the second page that I gave you, it says whenever an approved legal holiday falls on a Saturday or Sunday, it'll be observed on the Friday preceding or the Monday following. So Friday if it's on a Saturday, Monday if the holiday is on a Sunday. What Kirsha and I were talking about were basically adding holidays will not be accrued before the date of the holiday unless, and that's, it's on a Saturday, unless an approved holiday falls on a Saturday or Sunday. So you can't accrue it until the actual holiday comes up,
Unless it's on a Saturday.
unless it's on a Saturday or Sunday, and then you can take it the Friday or the Monday.
I like it.
That makes
It'll
sense.
still follow, the court still decides how many
Right.
holidays we get. It still follows the guidelines. It's just changing that you don't accrue it all at the beginning of the year.
No, I like that.
Right.
What about the jail and the EMS? who have
That is not
multiple-
going to affect it. That was my next point. That is not going to affect them. It's still, in 9.02, work during holidays. It's not always feasible to grant holidays on the day they occurred. Any elected official or department head who finds it necessary to do so may direct some or all employees of the department to report for work, and then they can take it.
But it still qualifies, like say if
Like if
a
your
deputy
election
wanted to take
workers-
July 4th in January, they still can't. They
Right.
have to wait
It would
till,
have until the holiday. They
Even
can
if
take it after the
right,
holiday.
okay.
So somebody comes to work January 1, they take all those holidays and then it's gone in 2 months.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that eliminates that issue.
That's good.
So that still takes care of like Texas Independence Day,
Correct.
one year our judge had a trial scheduled
Mhm.
and we went.
Mhm.
And so that means my employees could still take another day off that week as their holiday
Sure.
instead of that Monday.
Yes, or if it was on that Monday, let me see.
Could be the following week, I said. as
Yeah.
well.
It's whatever you.
The other half of the year after it happens, but it just has to be after it happens.
Do you want to-
Unless it's on the-
Do you want to leave it for any time during the year or put in a period of time after the holiday? 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days?
60
I would think
days
so.
matches what
Fair.
another department's already doing.
Okay,
Within 60 days.
That's-
It's got to be 60 days.
doesn't have to be, I mean.
Otherwise, what if you're accruing
I
a
like
lot
that.
more holidays and then you need them and your department head or your elected official needs that person to say, well, I've got several holidays that I hadn't been able to take. I'm gonna take 5 holidays in a week,
Right.
2 weeks off, and that could bring
Mm.
And
harm
hol-
to my office for sure.
holidays do not carry over into the next year.
No, I understand. They have to be, especially have to be taken within 60 days.
Yeah.
Right.
What if you're within 60 days of the new year? You just either take it or lose it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So
There's
that's-
some religious holidays though that people, I mean, there probably needs to be a little bit of flexibility.
Sure.
on Some of the religious holidays.
Well,
Not everyone-
yeah, and some of those are not holidays that are listed as holidays that we take.
Right.
It's just their personal religious holiday. And you're right, some of those fall before those holidays.
Well, I think that's just a
They can-
discussion that you know,
With
they
their
need to have
department
with
head.
their department elected
Mhm.
official in my office, and
Yeah.
we'll get them, make sure we have,
Okay,
have the employees' rights in mind.
sure, absolutely.
What
So-
about floating holiday? Did you, road bridges got? You got to be 60 days or?
Road and bridge, because y'all's holidays are actually a 10-hour holiday versus the 8-hour holidays.
It was something else we needed to discuss.
It'll take care of itself. You'll have a little extra time,
Yeah, but
and
do we have
So-
to take it 60 days or?
I don't think it
not
would
not
affect the
necessarily,
floating.
because the way it falls,
Right.
no. Yeah, I've looked at that, and
Yeah.
it doesn't adversely affect your guys. They shouldn't lose anything.
So again, though, somebody just coming to work for the county, they find out we've got a floating holiday. They,
If they haven't accrued it, then
yes.
they
So-
won't.
Okay, so that's accrued through the time.
Yeah.
The weeks, yes, I like that, okay, thank you.
That does bring up the question about, most of the employees work 8-hour days and they get 8 hours. The holiday is 8 hours. But there are some employees that work 10-hour days. How do you propose that we bring that more in line, make it more equitable for everybody so that some people aren't getting a, 32-hour day instead of a,
Well,
30
if you give it based on hours, it takes care of itself. So if you base every holiday on an 8-hour day, it always works itself out, especially for road and bridge.
So everybody's 40 hours a week, right?
Yeah,
And so if you've got 300 hours in a whatever period, y'all get an 8-hour, we get an 8-hour, it's the same accumulated time and you get the same time off actually, even though in your mind, because, oh, I'm working 10-hour days, I don't get the whole that way. Yeah, you did, really.
yeah.
And so it's hard to actually explain that, but if you do it like you're saying, in total hours per year, everybody's on the same total hours
120
except for
120
overtime.
hours.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Whether you're taking 10-hour days or 8-hour days.
10 or
Yeah.
what?
It
just
works.
wanted to make sure that that issue didn't come up
120
later.
hours.
But it's been coming up a long time.
Which
Yeah.
we're able to alternate. My girls, if it's a holiday week, they work 8 hours that week.
Right.
And so they get the 8-hour holiday. So it doesn't cause confusion.
Sure.
And several of our departments do that if they work the 14.
We've got a-
Road and bridge.
They're constant.
We're still getting the same hours per year.
Same hours
So
per year.
if it's explained that way, then it makes more sense to anybody. Rather than, oh, we worked 10, we didn't get 10. But
Yeah.
you got the same hours per year off
Same
as
hours.
anybody else did.
Mhm.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
Okay, so that sick leave and the holiday, that y'all agree with?
Mhm.
So far.
Yes.
The last one is the longevity. All right, Kirsten, I'm gonna let you explain this one because you do it so well.
Like, the complication came up in this one is that in the current policy manual that was approved in 2014, it specifies that longevity pay is based on the number of years of continuous service by a county employee. All regular full-time employees receive $5 per month for each year of service. So it's pretty clear cut. It's $5 per month and based on years of service. What's being done is a tiered policy, which is based off of the 2012 policy manual. And that's the first, between 1 and 5 years of service, you get $5 per month. Between 6 and 10 years of service, you get $10 a month. Then it goes to 15, 20, 25, and 30 a month.
And you can all have that sheet, looks like this.
So are you saying
And that's
that
in what I gave
this
you.
policy or longevity has
Yeah, I
that?
know. Thank you.
not what I'm proposing, but yes,
That's what the
Thank you.
You're welcome.
policy says.
the, correct.
So basically, the new policy was never implemented.
Yes, okay.
Continued to go by the old policy, which was 5, 10, 15, 20.
So I need clarification on what policy we're going to follow. And if we wanted to implement the new policy, I recommend that we implement it on individuals hired this year and on,
Okay.
and not take away any longevity pay for anybody who's been here longer than that.
I agree.
I don't think you could do that anyway. Without a fight.
You'd have a fight.
You'd have a big fight,
Yeah.
yes.
We don't want to do anything.
No.
To harm anyone that works for this county.
I agree.
We have a difficult enough time getting people, as everyone knows, and keeping them. And so, those benefits, need to be, of course, they need to be uniform across the personnel policy, and we don't want to go backwards, we want to go forward. This is another one I would definitely like to have more time with, to really be sure that we are going forward the right way we should. Whether it's keeping this one and putting it into the new policy as we amend it, or keeping the personal policy the way that it is in that section.
Okay. Well, the one that they're following,
That's the old.
that's the old one, right? But the new policy, basically, we want to know if we want to follow the 2012 policy and bring it into the 2014 policy, or current policy, or change and start following what's actually in policy. So, but I don't mind having y'all taking some time to think about that.
Okay, so you're saying this is what is
So policy
per
hasn't been
month,
followed
is in your
since
check?
2014?
and then, so that's what you would
In
get yearly?
one aspect.
Okay.
I mean,
So
there's
here-
been policy since 2014 that's never did.
Yeah, it's a part of the policy.
Ooh, it would cost a
Some
lot of
people-
people a lot of money to go retro on that, wouldn't it?
It would,
Sure.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
it would be not good.
Yeah.
Since 2014.
No, yeah, not
Okay.
proposing any retro because I
No.
don't think that's fair.
No.
No.
It's just going forward,
Oh, yeah.
um, following whatever policy the court deems we need to follow.
I'm starting with all 2020 hires.
But
Or
how are you gonna do
2021
that for the
hires.
previous hires for every year? They still get longevity. So are you still gonna calculate previous hires before 2020 at the old rate?
Yes,
And then all new hires at 2020 at 5, so you're gonna figure out 2 different calculations.
yes.
Which is gonna be more work for somebody.
Do you have another suggestion?
Y'all are the court, y'all decide.
Well, we can discuss, we've got some time, let's discuss it over
Hold on.
time. We don't want to add a hard, a burden on someone either.
Sure.
But we want to do what's right for everyone as much as possible. We all know that.
There is, a financial reason as far as budgeting to follow the 2014 policy, because it significantly reduces, what longevity is paid out.
It also could significantly reduce the number of people that we have here, which would cost us a ton of money.
Well, we're not talking about losing, we're not talking about taking it away from anybody.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
They are those people that understand that policy for their occupation, whatever position they have. And they see that future taking away.
But the personnel policy already says
Oh,
it's just $5 a month. Nobody has that 2012 policy unless you were hired then. All the personnel policies that has gone out since 2014 have been the $5 a month. So any employee who points back to a personnel policy, it
I
states
mean-
$5 a month.
Their understanding was they were getting that as long as they stayed here, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's a bad policy either way.
Yeah.
We all know from, and of course, that is not true at this point in time, but who knows what this thing's gonna bring. We all know that county employees compared to other positions, like positions, are underpaid.
Mhm.
Well, we can't bring in a lot of raises to get them anywhere near like positions within the community. Going forward, I mean, this thing's gonna go away, and we're still gonna need people. And we don't wanna lose them because they can get twice the pay in a different area.
I agree.
And with the same amount of knowledge and work, and when you compare.
Mhm.
And so that's why I want time
Yeah.
to talk to, because we've got a ton of people that's been here before 2012
Mhm.
and that knows this.
Mhm.
And so they have already planned, many of them, their future. And you take away what they planned for, even though they haven't received it, they believe if they stay, they will.
Well, we're
At
not,
this point.
They're not retroing it. They're
No,
gonna-
I understand that, but I'm talking about going forward. I'm talking about that people certainly plan their future beyond today,
You're talking
right?
about any new hires?
No, I'm talking about those that are here.
we're not
We're not-
changing the policy for them.
At all? You're not saying
That's
that?
not my
Okay, I'm
recommendation.
sorry, I'm misunderstanding.
And there's three ways to go about it that I can see. Keep it to where you're following the 2012,
Yeah.
where everybody, including new hires, we take 2012, put it in the new policy, and we continue to follow that all along for everybody. Or keep 2012 for everybody that currently has it. Only new hires would be under the 2014, where it's $5 a year. Or change it completely to everybody in 2014. And I'm not making a recommendation on any of them. I'm just letting you know that those are the options. It's something that is a contradiction that does need to be fixed.
Yes, it
Is the reason we brought
And
this.
that's why I wanted more time, is because I
Sure.
Well,
want to
and
make
that's,
sure.
and that's why I needed the
fully
court's
understand.
decision before I set salaries January 1.
Uh-huh.
So
Those
I need the
other
court's
salaries were already approved in the budget.
Yep.
The 2021 salaries have already been approved in the budget.
That's what we need to think about, and so we'll have 2 weeks to think about that. We'll come back in a couple of weeks and discuss that one and the coronavirus.
Mhm.
There is one other situation in the coronavirus, and I wish we could all talk about it outside the court. We can't, and so we're open, and we want the people to hear what we do. We're not like the legislature at the state or the federal government where they go in back rooms and discuss everything and then do what they want to.
Mhm.
And so and here, I think I was misunderstood a while ago. In the new policy where it says coronavirus, SARS is a coronavirus that we had 4 or 5 years ago. MERS is a coronavirus. And so just to make me understand, are we putting in a policy for any coronavirus going forward? This is what we're going to do, or is this for only COVID-19 type virus, which is a brand new virus? That's also a coronavirus.
Yeah.
And that's what we have to discuss and figure out. Are we going to do this for this virus? Or do you think we're going to be quarantined and wear masks for SARS and MERS and any other coronavirus that comes into play going in the future? And we don't know that for sure, but if we're going to put a policy, we need to say either any coronavirus and stipulate those coronaviruses, or we need to say COVID-19, because SARS is COVID too.
Sure.
And so we need to make sure we clarify that and make a good decision there.
Which direction, just with preliminary, so we're not deciding on this, but what is your thought on that? Which direction should it be?
And so I have, as we, two of us can meet with Kirsten and we all get on the same page. The three of us, and then we have to come in and explain it to the rest of the court. Any other commissioner or court member can do it as well. If not me there, with the judge or whatever with Kirsten. We can all go to Kirsten, and learn, but at this point, I don't have an opinion. I just want
clarification.
I want a clarification. And so,
I think that's a decision for the court,
Oh, I-
what they want under this policy. This is just a policy that, several people have, elected officials and department heads have asked for to clarify to their employees
well,
so that they can keep staffing levels where they need them.
I can guarantee you that if it isn't COVID-19 and it says coronavirus and people do the research, they're gonna say, oh, I'm off for 2 weeks because of, I've got SARS, I've got MERS, I've got any other coronavirus that may be in play. So I just wanna make sure we're agreeing on the all on the same, knowing what we're agreeing on all together so that we don't have conflict going forward.
Mhm.
Like we're changing now because of the problem.
Well,
I got a question. So this policy only affects people 60 and over?
No, sir.
No, sir?
No, sir. It would affect all employees.
Okay, so where did the 60 come into play on that?
That, it says so in our older policy that we did back in March or April. It mentions 60 and over.
So if you're 59.
That was the information we had.
Yeah.
What,
It
no,
just says
I
they're
mean,
more specific.
it just says that county employees that are age 60 and over that have these, compromised immune systems, had the ability to, request alternatives to current work locations. And that was, because at the time, what the information that we were getting was that it affected 60 and older a whole lot more than everybody else.
Since this has been such a fluid problem, in the last year, I guess that's a way to term it.
And that was just
And
one aspect of the whole policy though.
Right, and then, but this is ongoing and we're understanding more and more as time goes on, and so, it's my suggestion that the court puts a sunset on this policy so that it's forced to revisit it in a year, 2 years, because I think this is gonna be something that we'll know a lot more about as time goes on, and we already know a lot more than we did. It's tragic, but it's probably not a lot more tragic than a lot of other things that's going on, so just a thought there.
Thank you, Cole.
Well, I don't see how you can make a policy for something that you don't know. Don't think you can call it mud, blood, whatever you want to call it. If you don't know what it's all about, it may not be the same thing as just right here. We're coming along right now. If a man could get that fella that said we ought to shut the whole thing down, take the kids out of school, and just shake him just like that, and make him remember that he said, well, why did we take the kids out? So I don't think you can make policy until you get something that knows. Nobody thought this was going to be this bad.
I can tell you the one constant in this is that if you test positive, you are required to quarantine for 10 days.
Whatever. That's
And
fine.
so that, I don't want to
But
have
we
a
were back
situation.
under just, let me throw this at you. We had it in this court right here that they wasn't staying home. I seen
That's
them
true.
out. I seen them out over yonder.
Okay.
You
And
know?
we can throw something in there that says if you break quarantine, you don't get the time.
There ought to be something. Of course, you're gonna make them, but you're not gonna make, you can't make these over here. That's the only problem with that deal, if they're not, where you kind of get their shirt up there and get the hair off just a little bit, make them understand. But, so I don't know that you can base anything on just this one we're gonna have.
When you test positive, can they tell whether it's Corona 19 or SARS or
Well, there's
There's
tests for
specific,
the other
yeah,
ones,
it's specific tests.
This is just new tests for this because it's new virus. So what we, and I'm hearing what you're saying. And so if we add and add and add, because if we're gonna do it for coronavirus and we see you out here, we're going to take that away from you. So what about somebody that gets injured on the job, workers' comp, and they're hurt, they say, but you see them on a ladder at home? You're gonna have to, I mean, if that's gonna be a policy that we create, our book is gonna get, I mean, it's enough in it now. I've used my computer to search it,
This is it right here.
but it's gonna get so big in a little while.
Well,
All
that's
you're
what I'm
doing is
saying,
creating
you
larger,
can't,
bigger and bigger
we can't
government.
do that.
You can't dictate.
No, I
Right?
don't think we can. This next in here that comes next, only one person knows.
So one thing.
And he lives way up yonder in the sky.
Oh, that's-
Whether it's gonna kill you deader than a tooth right then, or you gonna have, sit around and kick your legs on the ground for about 3 weeks before you die.
Yes, But-
It may be worse.
if you see that person because of how you feel and he's your employee, you can call him in for a conversation. And that's without having a policy for that. If you see that person on a ladder, when they say that they're hurt, legs broke and they're up on a ladder, I'm gonna have a conversation if he's my employee. And we're gonna see if we're gonna continue to have that person in our group, in our precinct.
Was that over checking his mind or his leg?
I'll check whatever we need to. We as individual managers have to manage our people, and you know better than anybody how to manage, because you've managed them with your trucking company. And so each and every individual with their department, their management needs to be such as, I'm managing my people. I don't need to show you a place in the policy that I'm going to give you 5 days off without, or I'm gonna take this away from you, so that we don't create a policy, because we all hate big government. And then we don't wanna do it here, but there's necessary policies, of course.
Well,
But
that
not-
was the reason I was trying to clear up what I asked a while ago.
Yes.
Can I tell you, if you've got 50 hours on your own, yeah, take 25 of them tomorrow if you want to, I don't care.
If it doesn't interfere with your work.
That was the only thing, because I have stepped in some slimy stuff once or twice since I've been up here. And kind of got scooted on down the road here a little bit, that you can't do that, because this is government, type of deal.
I would like to say that we don't have to do any policy.
Right.
We can, if you get coronavirus or whatever, you can use your sick leave. I feel that our current policy that was enacted April, May, whenever, is a little too open to interpretation. So that's why I suggest this policy.
We need a concise outline, not a book.
Agree.
Yeah,
So
so
people can actually read it and enough of it that they can understand it and be able to comply with it, because it's hard enough the way it is.
So the commissioners are open to do whatever.
That's
I'm
why I
just
want more
bringing it-
time.
Bringing it to y'all's attention.
I want to make a good decision, and I thank you for your research and you and the judge working together. That's awesome. And we got to bring it to court to discuss it,
Absolutely.
and we'll agree on some, we won't agree on others, but the rest of us now, for me anyway, I need more time to be able to make sure how I feel before I actually would want to raise my hand and say, yeah, these changes are fine.
Sure. Well, let's table them all for now.
Okay.
And we'll bring them all back
Thank you.
next Tuesday.
And I'll make the
Are we
changes in the,
meeting next Tuesday?
Not next
2 weeks.
Tuesday, 2 weeks.
have the
You
policy
should have known
wording for like the sick
Never know,
leave
it's
and
all they're gonna
holiday. So that
So
way you'll have that.
Keep you on your toes.
holiday leave, sick leave, the longevity and the COVID-19, all, the whole policy will be tabled.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Let everybody have some.
Are we not taking any action, or do you want a motion?
We can just take no action.
If we're gonna table
Yeah, we
it-
can take no action.
Okay.
Okay, line item transfers and budget amendments.
There is 2 line item transfers. One's for the tax office and the bonds and notaries for $1,000 and education and training for 1,100 out of maintenance agreements. It was for bond renewals and to attend the school for tax collectors for the CEUs required. And then the other one is Harmony Waterworks cell phone expense, $300 out of operating supplies to continue pay cell phone.
You have
Mm-mm.
a budget amendment.
That's all.
I make a motion that we approve the budget, the line transfers.
All in favor? All right, accounts payable.
Accounts payable is $1,543,030.80.62.
There's a motion to approve accounts payable.
All in favor? All right, motion carries.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second, all in favor?
I understood that one.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for all the work that you and the treasurer have done.
She did the majority of it. She's,
1,543,380.62. Just 380 and then 662.
Can't believe it's already. First day